Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mike and Gerald Sport Podcast Show. Today's a special episode because I actually have somebody who we've been talking for a while about just linking up on the podcast. And I don't know, something, I think it's fate. Fate just brought us together. We started talking and we just linked up. And today I'm glad to actually have him here. We've known each other for a while back now. I think we met on the soccer pitch actually. So that's how you see how soccer actually brings people together.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad to introduce Toju. Toju, please feel free to introduce yourself, let the listeners know who you are, and tell us all about you, what you're about, and then we can go into the rest of the conversation.
Thanks for having me, first of all. And like I said, my name is Toju. I also host a podcast called the Well Actually Podcast. We talk about a whole bunch of societal stuff, music, art, culture, and just uh, things that sometimes are heavy and sometimes are light and funny and just things to
Sure,
get you through your
that's
day.
awesome, awesome. I think when I started seeing your podcast, like I've seen it probably like a year back, and it's amazing to see how it's grown. Because before I just saw you like you post things once in a while, but now like I saw you actually posting one of the rising Afrobeats singers, Odumodu. Is that Odumodu Black? That's his name. Um, Anybody who doesn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
him, go and check out the Declarize intro video. Whoever sang that song, that's the person I'm talking about. But
yeah. I,
oh,
I
is he
mean,
a
that's my
little
little brother,
brother?
so
Wow.
I kind of cheated with I kind of
Yeah,
cheated with
but
that one. Yeah,
sometimes like
yeah,
that's one of the things I talk about with fate. Like when you're in the right place at the right time, things just kind of align themselves. So hey, it's a great opportunity to actually have somebody that's close to you that's going through that, and it's also great for your platform to just kind of like bring things up. Like you
right.
never know. Next time you're talking, you might be talking, having conversation with Whiskey, Davido, like probably the hottest new guy. Like so,
He's been saying that too,
yeah,
so I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
accepting
Trust me,
it. I'm
man. You're going
accepting it.
places. You're going places. From where I saw you last to where you are now, like it's just right there. Next time you're just gonna shoot out. So all right. Let's get into the conversation. So you talked about your podcast. You told us what your
Okay.
podcast is about. If you don't know his podcast, I'll put in the link to his Instagram. Do you have Twitter? Okay,
Yeah, yeah. Just the
all right, no
WA
problem. I'll put the
pod is
links to
from.
the
So
Twitter page, Instagram page, and also YouTube page. 'Cause I know you're also on there. You also shoot some stuff on there. I've gone actually to look at some of the live sessions that you've had, and I also know that you're a big sport fan. Like you're
okay,
a big, very passionate Liverpool fan. And I wanted to dive in a little
of
bit
course.
deep into that. Like, what made you start supporting Liverpool? Like, since when? And just kind of talk about like your general passion about like the team.
Okay, so it goes back a long way. It's not really a long story, but so when I moved to Nigeria for secondary school, everybody else was up on soccer or football except me. So I had to play catch up. Everybody had their team. Some people were Man U, some people were Arsenal. And I want to say around France '98, it was England, Argentina. Michael Owen had that long, like running,
Okay.
mazy run that he scored. I'm like, okay, this young dude, I think he was 18 at the time. And I was like, okay, whatever team he plays for,
Oh
that's the
wow.
team I'm supporting. And then, like, he plays for Liverpool. I'm like, and
Yo, I feel like
that's
every
literally it.
it's interesting to see that that's your take on how you support people, how you supported the team that you're with now passionately. But like I feel like everybody has that one story. Like I feel like my story of how I became a Chelsea fan was I got into secondary school in Nigeria. Also, everybody had a team, and they were like, you got to pick somebody. And then everybody had like Juventus, AC Milan, like all the like big leagues. Then I was like, team can I support? And then I think that's when Abramovich era like started coming in. The Drogbas, like Asubank was kind of fading
Okay.
out. The Zolos was sort of fading out, and then the Drogbas, and I was like, what's this team about? You know what? Whatever this guy, I saw Drogba play like once or twice, and I was like, you know what, this guy, you know what, it's Chelsea. I'm just gonna support him. And then I love Mourinho's like his vibe to the Premier League, like what he brought, like that man is a whole character. Like
Mm,
he could be that man can be a villain. He can be a hero. He can be like the most non-caring guy that you can ever find. Like he has like multiple personalities, and he like every time he's in the Premier League, like it's never like boring. It's never boring. There's always something that he brings to the team.
right. I give him credit
All
for
right.
that. Yeah, never
Well,
boring.
one of the things that we do here at the Mike and Gerald Sport Podcast Show is we do sometimes have bias view, and and that's okay. You know what? I realize that as a being in the sport world, it's okay to have a bias view. It's one thing to have a bias view and recognize it, but it's another thing for you to be deluded and think that that's like the general way. So, yeah, we support bias view. We don't support deluded like people who are deluded, but we entertain that. So, talking about Liverpool's form this season has been immaculate. I when this season started, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't give Liverpool much of a chance. Like, cause like you were doing that rebuild phase, but the rebuild was so slow, and you left it to the dying minute, which is not it's not a Liverpool thing. Liverpool literally like they'll probably sort out their stuff in the summer, even before summer. They already have the players. They come in, and then once they end, like once you see them in preseason, they've already fit into that club system. So I just wanted to get your thoughts so far. What
Right.
are your thoughts about the form Liverpool form so far? How you impressed with how they're playing and some of the games that you're winning? I'm just like I don't even know how you're winning some of those games.
So let me go back to the part where you said about the recruitment and like getting the players in early. Partially, what happened is that Henderson and Fabinho leaving so late in the transfer window to Saudi kind of toppled things a bit. I think it's for the better because Henderson has been a shell of himself for a couple of years, and Fabinho was on his last legs. Not that I'm discounting their impact on the team over the years, but going into this season, they could not be our starting midfielders. But the fact is, their leaving was left so late that it was a miracle that we're even able to like get Wataru Endo at that point. And of course, we had
Yeah.
McAllister and Soboslai a bit earlier, and then the Caicedo that you guys ended up taking. Thank you for
Sure.
that, by the
But
way.
but
You guys can
I feel
keep
like
him.
everybody got what they deserved at the end of the day in regards to like the work that you've put in. Like it's in the sense that like
Mm,
with Caicedo and Chelsea, like you saw that drama, like it was like it's out of character for Liverpool being that like, you know what, I'm just gonna steal your player. Like I've not seen Liverpool kind of play that role since who can I even say that you played that role for? Who's the last player that you actually
it's funny. We've
oh
actually done
really?
it a bunch of times, but the teams don't like to mention it because it
Oh yeah,
makes
you
them
did it
look
with the
bad.
Gakpo thing, like
Yeah,
Gakpo coming because Gakpo was also for Man U, Ten
yeah,
Hag, like everything, and then all of a sudden,
yeah.
the next time I'm seeing like announcement, I'm like, wait, what happened? Like this guy was they already signed the schedule for Man
Yeah.
U, so yeah, you do, but I feel like you do it in a sly way, and you also don't do it like so like public, like because like you don't go kind of public in regards to how you
So,
treat players.
so yeah, because we're a bit gun shy ever since the Van Dyke incident, where we're basically like mocking him up in all the team news and everything, and Southampton was like, "No, you're not gonna do that to us." So it was supposed to be like a summer transfer, and it didn't go through till the following winter. So it's like after that, we're like, okay, no, we're not doing any, no, don't put our players in any other jerseys, none of that. Like we're we're just gonna keep quiet until the player shows up and he's actually like doing his
Yeah,
opening press, whatever.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've
Well,
learned our lesson.
that's by the way. Like I said, I feel like everybody. The only bit that I felt like Chelsea went too far for was that Lavia thing. Like I feel like you should have had Lavia because like getting Caicedo was like that's the biggest puff of the chest that you have where you're like, okay, you know what? Like we got the money. We can't like we still have that rep in the transfer market. But when you go into like taking the other players, I feel like that was like I was like you went too far with that because now the guy's not even playing, and I'm like, what's the whole point of that? Like you got him through some fitness stuff. You injured the poor boy. Now I don't even know his return date. Like every time they ask, like, what's his return date? Watch is like, I don't know. Like we gonna see when we gonna see. Like other people are like, oh, that's 2 months, February or November. Like you're like, we don't know. We're gonna see what we're gonna see. When he wakes up, if he feels good, put him in training. Like it's kind of weird. That's karma, right? I think right there.
And how much did you pay for him? How much did you pay for him? Like
I think it's
60?
between 50 plus add-ons, so probably going into 60s. Yeah,
Yeah, for and he's what, 20?
I don't even know if
Is
he's
he even
20.
20
Yeah,
yet?
he's still 20.
Yeah, I'd rather have Endo and Gravenberch than
Gravenberch kind
Not
of
there
came
for
full
that
circle
price.
because I feel like Gravenberch was supposed to come to Liverpool, and he got, oh, I want to win champions. Like some of these players, like I feel like sometimes they
Yeah.
need to learn their lesson about like how, like if for example, like if you're a good star, like go through the whole Bellingham route. Like I love the Bellingham route. Like you know who you are. Go prove it in a team where they will give you opportunities. You have the space to grow. You have the right atmosphere to grow, and then you come up the ranks. But like the same thing, like for example, the person I'm thinking about most is like Sanchez, like Renato Sanchez. Remember when that guy came up and everybody was like, oh, wait a minute, this guy is gonna be like nothing you ever see. Like he was supposed to be that Bellingham kind of superstar going in, and then he just jumped the gun, went straight into Bayern, couldn't even keep himself fit, and then started going to a bunch of loans. Now he's in Roma, and now Mourinho can't even wait to like send him back to PSG. Who got
The funny thing about him, he was linked with Liverpool before his move to
it?
Bayern.
I see a team here now.
Yeah.
If you don't come back to the first.
Yeah. Linked.
All right. So the next question I would just wanted to go to is, as a fan, what are your expectations for Liverpool this season? Like, what do you see them? Let me break it down. Where do you see them finishing on the table? Where do you see them in the competitions that they are so far? Do you see them winning any cups? Like, kind of go into that for me.
So my answer on August 1st will be
Hmm.
different from my answer on September 1st, and that answer will be different from October 1st. So back in August, I didn't really have much
Hmm.
optimism about what was going on. Like players were leaving too late. We didn't have replacements. There was the saga with Chelsea stealing players from us and all that. Then September
Yeah,
1st, we had gotten some new players, but I didn't really see how they were going to fit. So I mean, I was like, let's see. But now, like from October 1st, it's we're title
definitely
contenders. That's the way I see it. Europa, I'm definitely seeing us as finalists and at least one
finalist.
of the other cups. Like yeah, I would at least I wouldn't be surprised if we won
Okay.
at least one of those cups, including
So
Europa.
probably at least a double, not as much as a treble, because I don't think you have the depth of a treble. That's just my personal view, but you as a fan, you can let me know like if you feel like you have the depth, because I feel like that's one of the things I was scared for. Even though I was impressed on how you turned it around, my fear is the depth. Is that right now, for example, I think you got some. Jota has a red card. Who else has a red card?
Uh, I think McAllister as
Oh,
well.
Richard.
No, McAllister already served his. Jota has
Oh yeah,
his, and
Curtis.
Curtis
But he
Jones.
typically he came off the bench most
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
time.
No, but
Oh
he
wow.
started the last three matches for us. That's so when you're talking about our depth, it's like even with the new guys like Watarendo isn't he's
Mm,
not getting starter minutes right now. It's Soboslai, it's McAllister, and it's Curtis Jones. That's our starting
okay.
midfield
All
right
right.
now.
Well, I think that those are fair expectations. Europa shouldn't be that much of a challenge unless you have like one of the big boys that drop into it, or even those big boys that drop into it. If
Drop.
they like, uh, Man U fans, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you
And
because,
I mean, I already told them to
bruh,
get used to
like
playing on Thursdays
they
because they're
I'm not even I don't want to go on a tangent, but Man U fans, you know yourself. So Man U, like they're one of those people I feel like they're probably gonna drop into that zone of Europa. But I don't see, like, you're right. I don't see anybody being so much of a big threat for you. I think as long as you can keep your team fit, like I think that would definitely take you a long way. Speaking of all right, so we talked about finishing. Speaking of Szoboszlai, one of that guy has been one of the biggest steals of the summer, if not one of the best summer transfer, other than probably Madison. That's the only one I'll probably say is above
yeah
it. But
for Tottenham.
he
Yeah.
has been a revelation to your team. He's a walk engine. Like initially, I just thought that maybe he plays more forward role, but that guy does everything. He does a clean up. He does one.
Everything
Like, what are
does
your impressions
everything.
so far about him? Like so far.
So it's funny. Klopp has this thing of if you
Mhm.
perform well against him, he's going to ask about you. We've had a bunch of
Yeah,
people, even Minamino, when he played well against us, even though that one didn't work out potentially with us, basically because of physicality.
yeah.
Soboslai is a different animal. He's the one knocking people off the ball. He's one covering the most distance while hitting the highest speed, and then he has a power drive of a right foot. So it's just like like they call him like the Gerard Regent.
Go on, man.
Like it's uncanny how they're already going there because it's like I think even when we signed him, he
Oh,
had like a
wow.
Gerard tattoo already. So
Right.
yeah, so he's been about this
Right.
life for a while. He's been about this life for a while. So everyone's been like, I think we're trying to
Hmm.
pump the brakes a little bit because we're like, okay, let's
Okay.
see him against the big boys. Let's see
Hmm.
him in premier competition. Let's see if it's
Mm.
just more than a month thing. But man, compared to what we had before, that's I think that's the biggest thing as a Liverpool fan. Comparing his work rate, his agility, his mobility, his strength, when you
Mm.
compare it to Henderson and Fabinho,
Yeah.
it's night and day. And I mean obviously he's 10 years younger than Henderson, so it makes sense that he like there's such a difference. And I mean when you see the price tag, that's
A
70 mil,
bargain.
it's like yeah, when you see how
When
yeah, now
when
when you see like
when
some players are going
Endo
for
when
115,
Caicedo is out here
110.
going for 115, after Enzo is going
Yeah,
for 112 or whatever, how much we pay for it. It's a bargain.
yeah. Declan
Ooh.
Rice 110. Yeah, it's and he's still and he's younger than all of them. I believe even Caicedo. I think he's
Caicedo is probably
about the
like
same age
21,
because he's like
21.
what 22.
Caicedo is-
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this one is what 22, about to be 23. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
that guy gives you
it's
everything.
I like yeah, and like at this age, he's the captain of Hungary's
Wow.
national team already. He's the captain of Hungary's national team. So it's he, I want to temper my optimism, but
But
it's
you
like
gotta give him
nah.
the flowers he deserves, man.
He like he has already shown what a lot of our midfield transfers haven't. Even McAllister, that he came in the same
Yeah.
transfer window. Like I guess we have different expectations on McAllister. He's more of like a maestro, more like. But yeah, he has done a bit of everything, and that's what we need when there's so
Mm,
much
wow,
influx
wow,
right
wow,
now.
wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So you already talked about the Gerard comparison. Like you said, you're gonna pump it down a little bit in regards to the comparison, like just a tad, just a tad.
Just
All
a
right,
little bit.
got it, got it. All right, let's
Mhm.
go into one of the keepers of when we talk about transfer season. One of the biggest assets that I feel that you were able to keep was Mohamed Salah. Like the way Saudi were coming for everybody, yeah, they had a coach. In my mind, this is they had a coach, and they're just like, bruh, this a suitcase full of money. You want it or you're not. Like the way they were flashing this cash around, like I first I didn't think of nothing. I didn't think it was anything, but towards that like 30, like the end of the transfer season, I'm like, and then that's when Salah went through this whole rap of like he took off his rap and it was mad because Klopp took him out. I was like, what's gonna happen? So talk about him. I want to talk about him a little bit. I know you're probably excited for for the fact that you're able to keep him. But the question I wanted to ask is, when do you think ideally, as a club, you can move on from Salah? Because you can kind of see that you need to start refreshing that front, like at least not the front line, but that side he occupies. It's very hard for you to find somebody that plays that role because everybody just gravitates towards him, and therefore he makes the other forwards makes space available for him. Like when do you think ideally as a club you can move on from him and still make something from him?
So I feel like this
Mhm.
might come back to bite me, but for me, Salah stays as long
Mm,
as he wants to stay. As
okay.
long as he wants to stay, because think about, I guess when we factor in age, there's a bit of a difference. But when you go
Yeah.
like on a per game basis, goals, assists, based on appearances, he has already surpassed what Cristiano Ronaldo
Wow.
did at Man U,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
when Ronaldo
Yeah.
was
That's
like
true. That's
in
true. I've seen
Ballon
something
d'Or
like that.
contention. Yeah, yeah. So it's like when you put up the numbers based on
Mm,
appearance, he has surpassed that already. So at this point,
yeah.
it's more like legacy building. It's like so he has even taken less of a target man role. Is why he like
Mhm.
right now
Yeah,
he's leading our
I
team in
see that.
assists. Yeah, so yeah, I mean he's tied
Wow,
for the leading goals as well,
wow.
but he's leading in assists. So it's like If you have this
Mhm.
kind of production at this stage, even a 50% drop off at the end of the season will have him at
Mm.
15 goals or 12 goals. 12 goals, 12 assists. You're telling me that's someone you want to ship out? Now, it's entirely up to Liverpool if they decide that, okay, they want to cash in for 150
Yeah.
mil because the offer was
Mhm.
200 something this year. Honestly, if that offer
Yeah.
had come earlier in the transfer market, I
Mm.
feel like Liverpool would have taken it because they would
That's
have had
yeah.
the entire transfer market to find a replacement. You're not doing that
They
at
will
the end
score
of
themselves.
August when, like, yeah. So it's like that on its own was, even like if you're being the most skeptical, the most
Mhm.
pragmatic, like you can't go that way.
Mm.
Your fans are never going to accept that because now you just have
Yeah.
200 million burning a hole in your pocket and nothing to do with it. So yeah, and the pull was definitely real,
Yeah.
being that he's Egyptian, like
But
massive in that region. However, some of the like numbers that have
mm.
come out recently is that I think they were going to offer him like a million a week or something along those lines. That's what they were going. But his agent came out and said that with his salary and his endorsements, right now he's
Oh.
currently making about a million a week. And yeah, so it's like he's making those endorsement dollars because he plays in the EPL. If you're playing in the Saudi league, you're not getting those endorsements. That's why they have to bump up your pay. That you're not getting they're not
Yeah.
endorsing you to be a Saudi player. They're getting that exposure because you're in the EPL. So like I'm not saying it's exactly equal because maybe you can make a little bit more in endorsements, like
Yeah.
if you're zeroing out. But what he's making right now, he's not making those endorsements over there the same way he's not making the same salary he would make
Wow,
over there
that's
if he's playing
crazy.
now.
That's crazy. Well, so kind of next question I wanted to ask is, do you feel like you talked about he can stay for as long as you want? You're talking about like that legendary style, like cementing that. Like, does he this conversation like after maybe let's say for example he goes and wins another like Premier League with you guys? Does he get a statue outside the Liverpool Stadium? After?
So I'm glad you said that. So it would have to take another major. So whether it's Champions League or EPL, it would have to be
Mm,
another one of those because when we won EPL, like we didn't even get the benefit of the parade
COVID, yeah, that's true.
because it was during COVID. So it's like what like there's something about those images that adds to the legacy. It's like people will clown like parades. Like I know we've clowned Arsenal a bunch of times for number of times they've done their FA Cup parade. But these are things that like build the memories in the hearts of fans, and we never got that with the EPL after such a long drought. So it's like those pictures. Like we got one after we got a
Yeah.
parade after the Champions League. Obviously, that's when you see like
Mm,
club counts into six. It's like those images are the things that when they're showing like your
yeah.
montage at the end of your career, those are the ones that they'd be like, oh, so you mean this wasn't that EPL? This was another EPL. This is so it's
Yeah.
like we almost have two different eras because
Yeah.
like you have the one with Henderson. That Henderson is the one lifting the cup. Now, if you have one with Van Dyke as the captain, with Trent, like once you the way people do eras, it's like
Yeah.
he did it with a
That's true.
completely different core. Like there's no Firmino, no Mane, no Oxley Chamberlain. Like even though they're like peripheral players, like if they're not there, this is like this new core doing that. I feel
Mhm.
like that would get him closer. Now he'll have to get in line because I think as of right now, I can only think of like either Shankly or Paisley, and then maybe a Gerard
That's
statue in the
true.
works. So it's still going to
Enough
take a
freaking.
it's still going to
That's
take a while
right.
for them, yeah, for them to get to him. But as like a cultural icon, like he has like murals all
Mm.
over the city of Liverpool,
Wow.
all over. So it's something where
Yeah.
with enough time, because people don't understand, like all of this is happening within 6 seasons. Like this impact, this is within 6 seasons. He has never had below
Yeah.
19 Premier League goals for Liverpool. Yeah, never had below
That's wild.
19. So
Yeah.
think about that for a second. He has what led the league in goals twice or even three. So in 6 years. So that's,
Yeah,
I mean, we should put some respect
definitely,
on his name.
definitely, definitely. And I also felt like also because like you said during that January transfer period, there weren't a lot of like wingers or forwards that fit the profile of what he does that warrants you giving. And anytime you do this whole, you get a lot of money from a club and then you go back like you sell your biggest asset. Whenever you're going out into the and you want to go back and try, everybody is just inflating the crap out of like the price of that. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that. So yeah, then moving on. One player that I think I have been on the one by is Nunes. I don't feel like he's hit the potential that he's supposed to be reaching yet. Because I watched the Europa game that you had last Thursday. Should have bagged at least one or two goals from that game. And he's not being clinical. I think the first season that he joined, he's new, he needs to adapt. But now, like this is where you like use, especially given the fact that you have Firmino, who is giving you like a big just bro, just step into it. Like, because you already have the playmakers around you. You have Jota, you have Salah. Like, what are your thoughts about his performance this season? He has stepped up. I'll give him his flowers. He has stepped up when you need him, when the team needs him. But I just think as an individual, when you're trying to take yourself to that next level, because when he came, it was him and Alan. Everybody was doing the Alan Nunes rah 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 stuff, and then Alan that robot or cyborg just he went ahead and did this thing. But I felt like I still expected more from Nunes as a top number nine striker. Like, what are your thoughts about his performance this season?
So the first thing that kind of worked against him was being in the same transfer window as Haaland, because it was going to draw comparisons, whether fair or not, and then the price tag. So if you're like any Liverpool supporter would know that he is a very frustrating player because he seemingly bags the difficult ones, and and kind of scuppers the one that you feel like a player of
Mm,
his stature should get. So the way Klopp uses him now is he
mm,
doesn't put him centrally. He
mm,
doesn't want him back to goal. He wants him heading face on, and he calls him
mm,
an agent of chaos, because once he comes in, it's like whoever is guarding him, whoever is marking him, doesn't have
mm.
like a second of rest, because he
Yeah,
even
yeah,
has a
yeah.
little bit
It's
of
got that
stuff
going.
going on. He like because yeah, because I think one of his first matches he got a straight red. So yeah, so it was a bit of like something, a bit of an adjustment, and I guess
Okay,
also
that's
there
true.
was a
That's
language
true.
barrier when he started. So it was like even getting the instructions across to him was difficult. But now, how it seems, and I know, like I said earlier, that Salah leads
Yeah.
our team in assists. All of Nunez's
Oh wow,
goals
I
have
didn't
come
even
from
know
Salah
that.
assists. Yeah, so it's a bit of like it
Mhm,
even went back to preseason. So like if you count preseason, I think Salah has assisted him like 6 goals. Yeah, so it's that link up play where if he doesn't have time to think, it
mhm.
seems counterintuitive. If he doesn't have
Mhm.
time to think, it's going in. But it's like he kind of gets in his own head about trying to do too much too soon, and like if you really look back
Yeah.
at his last season, he had 9 Premier League goals in under 30 games. So he started about 17 or 18. So like
Mhm.
objectively, that's not that bad when you consider like what a 22-year-old coming from a like
Yeah.
objectively a lower division type of
Mhm.
league, like coming from Portugal, and he wasn't. It wasn't required of him to be that big person for us anyway. And this was also in a crowded front line. This was with Gakpo.
Yeah.
This was with Firmino still on like on his last legs, but he was still there. And like with the way he has updated his like
Mhm.
his repertoire now, I feel like a lot of people are going to be eating their words very soon, because he's what joint top
Mhm.
scorer for
How many
us
is
right
that?
now. So he's I think he's on 3 Premier League goals at least. So I don't like
Top
other,
score.
not counting like cops and stuff like that. So yeah, so I mean it's
Mhm.
by December it's going to be a totally different thing, people, because he I believe he's going to be by at around
Yeah.
10 total goals by December, and nobody's going to come back and say, "Oh, we were wrong."
Yeah.
They'll
True.
just move
True.
on like
True.
nothing happened.
Especially like you know how the haters were already lining up for Holland, and they're like, "Oh look, there's a different league, and you gotta adjust." And then that guy was like, "You said what now?" And he took off, and everybody
No,
just died.
no, that no, that
Wow, that
he's a
man.
different breed. That one
But I feel
you
like he's
can't
going through a dry
really.
spell for him at this point also because I feel like he's missing those playmakers that typically just like give him the ball. But I feel like I'm gonna if I say something too soon, he's gonna hear it wherever he is and it's just be like, give me a game, give me one game. It's probably gonna be this one of this Arsenal game, and it's just gonna go wild. Eh, So going,
So that's how he was last season though. That's how he was last season. Like even when he broke the record, he had like a spell of 3 matches where he didn't score. That's what makes it so impressive. Like he scores in bunches.
so I'm going off a little bit of tangent. It's not about Liverpool, but big Sunday match going on tomorrow.
Okay.
Big derby.
Okay.
Everybody's playing psychological game. Ateta is doing his own thing. Pep is always doing his own thing. I, honestly, I love and hate Pep. My relationship with Pep is a love and hate relationship. I hate him because he's a freaking genius. Actually, no, I love him because he's a freaking genius. I hate him because he does these things where he hypes up players, and then other clubs are like, Pep said that, so we gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And then you get the player, and you're just like, who the hell scouted this guy? Like, he did that with Onana. He did that with Cucurella. He did that with who's the other player that did it? I think he did it with somebody from Spurs also. Like he would just hype up players. Like even Nunes, the guy he bought, the way he was hyping Nunes up, like from Wolves, the way he was
From
hyping him
Wolves.
up, and then the guy came into the team and was like, "Yeah, he's okay. He's got to learn." I was like, "Bro, I, I don't know." But that man, game tomorrow. What are your predictions tomorrow?
So I want to try and be respectful, but the
Yeah,
so Rodri is
he's
not going to
serving
be
a
available
big
for
that's his
this
last game
match.
suspension.
So
Mhm.
if Rodri was playing, I would actually put money on Man City winning. Like that's how confident I would be. But now I still see a Man City win because, like you said,
Mm.
there's something different about Pep. There's like, but I don't want to use Arsenal's like
Mhm.
their choking last season
Yeah.
like down the stretch against them because like
Yeah.
most teams they had injuries. But it's like when we lost Van Dijk, that was essentially what they lost last season. So but he's back.
Yeah.
So their guy's back, and but I don't see him being able to contain Haaland, and that's just going by recent history. He eats their lunch like he. I don't think I don't think Arsenal's even gotten a draw against Pep since he has taken over against City
Yeah.
for City.
It's
They
been
haven't even gotten a
else.
draw.
Really just
So yeah, it's just a string of L's, and I don't want to be the one to be like, oh,
Mm.
this is the time they do it. Nah, it it doesn't seem that way. Like even in like their
Yeah.
previous 37 matches, Man
Wow.
City has won 21. Yeah, Arsenal has won 9. Let's just consider that. Like the last Arsenal,
Yeah.
the last Arsenal win, you have to go as far back as 2020 FA Cup.
Wow.
Yeah,
20. Ah,
FA Cup, 2020 FA Cup. The last Arsenal
mhm.
win in the Premier League,
It's like
bruh,
2000.
it's not even. It's 2015. 2015.
Damn.
2015. So if I'm Arsenal, I see a draw as
Hmm.
a massive result. I just don't see it happening. I don't see Arsenal getting I don't see Arsenal getting
Wow.
anything good from this match, unfortunately. I mean, I would like Arsenal to do that
Hmm.
because I need it
Hmm.
muddied for the other contenders because if Man City gets this leg up, like it makes it more difficult for Liverpool. I would when I'm watching the match, I'm going to be rooting for Arsenal because there's no team in Manchester that I can ever root for, no matter the stakes. So I'll be rooting for Arsenal. I
And
just
they
don't think
have
it's
Saka
gonna happen.
injured for that game. What they say he's in contention, but
Oh
bro,
man,
when you have a hamstring, like if he came out with a hamstring and that's actually what it is, like that game can play probably like tops 30 minutes before they hook him off. So I see him making like a second half impact.
I mean, so even the match before,
Mhm.
even before they played midweek, so the last Premier, like he came off with a knock there. Like that should have been like with an
Yeah.
eye on Man City, the Man City match. Shut him down then. Like I know he has like this consecutive game
Mhm.
streak that they were trying to keep alive or whatever.
That's what they
But
do in the World
bruh,
Cup. Like they don't give you cup
what
for
is
that.
that? That doesn't help anybody.
They don't
No,
give you cup for that. That's
there's
like
no
when
there's
most of
no
them are
prize
saying,
for
"Oh, we
that.
got second." I'm like, you didn't get a cup for second, bro. You bottled it. Like, let's call it what it is.
Yeah. So like Saka,
Yeah, that
phenomenal player. Even though I'm not sure why people
is.
are still like even going into the season, they had him ranked as the best right winger. I'm like, you
Oh
guys know
yeah, yeah,
Salah is
yeah,
still
yeah.
there, right? Like, I can understand
Mm-hmm.
the praise for Saka, but Saka's season last year that
Mm-hmm.
had him getting all these awards, Salah still had the better season in an off season for
Didn't
him.
Saka get like 12 and 12 or something like that? Like 12 goals, 12 assists or something?
He,
Mm.
I would say similar. I don't know if those exact numbers, but like for him, that was a career year. And I was like, you guys are saying, oh, he's this. Like, I'm not, again,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
you
taking anything
game
away
gotta
from him because
recognize game, bro.
as
Like you gotta recognize like you're young, like it's like for example, like one of the balls but
so in the Prem, he
Jota,
had
like,
14 and 11 in the Prem.
that's decent. That's like
And
average numbers. Right? But the way they were, I think it's a title charge that made them like, okay, you know what? They tried with the title charge, so let's give him a cup so that they don't cry.
bruh, because when I look at like 14 and 10, Salah had 19 and 12 last year.
Bro, they gotta explain how they do giving some of these awards out. Like, is it based on like where your team finishes, or is it based on like your individual performance?
I think your team's performance plays a big role as well, especially because Arsenal was leading for so long. So it even though writers they tend to craft narrative, they get lazy at times. So they've already put okay, he's the star player for that team, so go ahead and just
Mhm.
pencil him in there. And I think Odegaard even made team of the year. Don't quote me on that, but it's like they already feel like they have to put these players in. The same reason why they gave Henderson Player of the
Yeah.
Year the year we won the league. It's like because it
Mhm.
wasn't a typical Salah year, so they just gave it to Henderson, and so I can see how that goes.
All right, let's go into the next conversation. I wanted to get your thoughts on is obviously probably one of the. It's kind of dying. I would say it's dying down, but I feel like it's brought more attention to VAR than it's supposed to. So let me get your thoughts about the
Oh boy.
game. Like, I don't know if you watched the game live. Like,
Oh, did I
what were
watch
your
it?
thoughts about it? Let me get your thoughts.
Bro, where do I even start? Where do I start? So like it was a comedy of errors. It was like Mr. Bean, where
Yeah.
he doesn't speak, but you just know there's comedy
Mm-hmm.
all around him. It was because like we can go to okay, we're playing the first red.
Yeah.
That's Curtis Jones, where his foot
Yeah.
makes contact with the ball, goes over it, and then it's not
Yeah.
even like a whack. It's more like a step. Yellow card,
Mhm.
understandable. Then they go to the VAR check, and as the ref is going to the monitor, they have the
Yeah.
foot impact
I don't agree with
already
that.
queued
I don't
up.
agree
I'm
with
like,
that.
bro, like, how are you? How is he like? No matter
Mm-hmm.
what you show him before that, his mind is already made up. It's like you're showing him the impact. Like just the
Yeah.
like the setup was already there. Then you now go to
Yeah.
Jota coming on as a sub and then getting two yellows without making contact with the player either time. It's like and that those ones can't because you can't
Yeah.
appeal a second yellow. So like
Yeah.
even though both yellows were BS, you can't
I saw the
appeal
first
that.
one. The first
So now
one,
he's gone for a
he
game as
he
well.
didn't even touch him. He tripped over
Yeah, the player
tripped
ran in front
over
of
his
him and
own
tripped
foot.
himself.
Like, unless you are saying Jota's
Yeah,
knee magically grew like an inch bigger and made contact. I didn't see any contact.
bruh. So now you're down to 9 players. But then the biggest part was the offside
Yeah.
on Luis Diaz goal, and they finally released the
Mhm.
audio. So before the audio came out or whatever, it was because it's funny, the game
Yeah.
wasn't on live in England. So it was being I think it was being Sports that
Okay.
had the international rights. Obviously, here in the US, NBC and Peacock have the rights. So when they were showing it, it's like, okay, that's like they chalked it up for offside, but it's going to go to VAR. And then to the naked eye, everyone saw that's onside. Like, what's happening? They didn't even draw the lines, nothing. Like, what's happened? What's going on? And like whatever it was, like mentally, like everyone just okay, just get on with it. And then they released the audio. Then they released the VAR audio, and they're like, okay, checking for offside. Like the linesman, he or assistant referee or whatever, he waves, he signals his flag, signal offside, offside, offside. Like, okay, second VAR check ongoing, and then because it was so
Yeah.
obvious to the naked eye that it was on, the VAR is like,
Mhm.
okay, check complete, that's good, and then they restart the match for offside, and then like, wait, no, he's giving onside, he's giving offside, he's giving offside. So, delay the match, and the
What
guy's
do
like,
you
well,
mean?
there's
Like, I
nothing we
don't
can
agree
do.
with that. I don't agree with that because
Ex-
there's nothing meaningful
excuse
that had gone on between the time that you restarted it and the
that's
time that like they started playing at the back. Nothing meaningful. Like, it's not like when they were on possession or counter.
Bruh, even if it was something meaningful, there was a Man U match that they
Yeah,
had
I remember
blown for
that.
full time. Players were walking down the tunnel, and they called them back to give
Yeah. So
Man
if
U
you
a
could,
PK.
what rule? If somebody explains to me what rule was implemented in that one that now did not apply in this game.
If that's how you feel, imagine
I,
how
would-
I
I,
feel.
would- I
Imagine
would
how
like,
Liverpool fans
I
feel.
would have been raging. Like, I'll switch everything off. Everything's got to go off.
It, it was so bad, and it got to the point that so even when before the audio came out, Gary Neville was like, "No, this is BS. This should be like Liverpool should feel hard done by." Mark Goldbridge, the one that does like a
Yeah.
Man U stream, he was saying like he's been actually the loudest person other than maybe Jamie Carragher that has been talking about this. And all that when the audio comes out and Liverpool is demanding change,
Mhm.
everyone's like, okay, now you've gone too far. We were just complaining. You want actual change. You want this to be different later on. Everyone's like, oh no, I thought we were just complaining about refs. I didn't know you wanted to start the revolution. And Klopp knows what he's doing when he talks about
Yeah.
replaying the match. He knows that if he goes too far, you have to come back
Yeah.
and meet him in the middle. Because if he just
Mhm.
says VAR should change,
Everybody has said that.
that's going to fall on deaf ears. But if he goes, yeah, if he goes too like, no, I think it should be replayed, but I know that's not going to happen. What he's doing is he's planting that as the extreme
Mm.
on what could possibly happen in an event like this, because everyone's like, oh, get over it. Like, but you were just on our side a couple of days ago when it was
Hmm.
obvious that a mistake was made. Like,
Yeah,
because
that's
this
true.
could happen to any team, and PGMOL is just going to be like, oh well, it was user error, or like it was basically like a grad assistant that was the
Hmm.
one yelling, stop the match, stop the match, stop the match, and we're like, oh, there's nothing we can do. Person that typically doesn't
Wow.
even speak
Wow.
in that instance, he realized that
Hmm.
there was such a miscarriage of justice that something had to be done, and he had to speak out, and they were just like, go ahead. So now that I think the ref and the VAR are no longer allowed to
Yeah, I
handle
saw
Liverpool
that. I
matches for
saw
the rest
that.
of the
I saw
season.
that. Like, I don't even, to be honest, personally, I don't feel like that's enough. That's enough action, like follow up action or disciplinary action for that game. Like, this is literally like it's your number one job. Like, when they say you had one job, you had one job, nothing
One
else,
job.
just one job is to help the referee, on field referee, to make the best decision. That's what VAR is for. So for me, I'm talking about pay cuts, man. Like something's got to come out of your pocket because the only way people start changing or start like actually acting different is when something affects their pocket. If it affects their pocket, you're like, bro, you're not about to waste my money right now because my kids, I got three kids in college. like, so to me, that's my person. Like, because it's like basically like your if your train is taking you to New York, we're in the East Coast. Your train is taking you to New York, and then somebody who's in the booth who's supposed to change the tracks forgets to change the track, and now you're going towards Trenton. Like that's two different like directions. At that point, somebody either get fired, suspended without pay, or something. But like this whole you won't referee, but yeah, you can still referee other people and still mess up. Like where do I learn the lesson from?
See, and it's funny you mentioned them losing pay. You know, the ref and the VAR were
Yeah.
they were in the Middle East covering an event, but for the owners of Man City. So it was there. It was I believe it was the UAE that they were covering their pro league, and they were the personal guests of the owner of Man City. Like their hospitality was arranged by the owner of Man City. So you can see where there's like even if there isn't conflict of interest, there's the
True.
appearance of conflict of interest. And whether you're a ref, you're a judge, you're a politician, there are certain things that just the appearance of a conflict of interest is enough to reduce the faith that people have in that institution. So and then something this so even if it's not conflict of interest, it's
Yeah.
fatigue that just flown like
Why
halfway
can't we
around the
just have
world
somebody
to come and
else?
ref this match. Now you're not,
Find somebody else. Somebody that is on a day off. Guess what?
and
You're
now
working overtime today. You're giving something double, but you're not stressed. You're not fatigued. You don't have the last game in your head. Like you have a clear mind.
less than 48 hours later, less than 48 hours later. So it's like, and when Liverpool complains, the thing is, when Klopp
Yeah.
complained about number of subs,
Mm-hmm.
everyone said, "Oh, Klopp is whining."
Absolutely.
Now everyone gets 5 subs. When they were talking about the distance between international break
Game
and
of the
the
season.
first
The first game after you coming back.
first game, yeah, it's like why is there such short time? Because like 48 hours is not enough for international players to recover. Yet when he complains about it, things change, and it's
Very,
not like
very
it
fast.
benefits only Liverpool; it benefits everyone. Even though we still managed to get like the early game, like after international break, people still won't hear it. It's like these things require someone who like. It's funny when like Klopp already knows like
Mm-hmm.
the refs have it out for him, so it's like my relationship with them cannot get any
See
worse.
what
So I'm going to say what I need to say, and he's going ahead and he's saying it, and
he
he's trying
surprisingly
to make
kept his
change.
cool, like
Whether it
during
happens
the sorry to cut. He surprisingly kept his cool when after the game.
in
I
the press
expected a
conference,
different club. Like probably the club, probably like 2 years into the Premier League, he would have been throwing some course words that were not TV friendly. So I was like, wait, how's club this
but
cool? Like speaking is like, oh, you know what? Like I don't want to say too much, but we all saw it. Like it was great. Like he kept his cool.
but you have to understand that Liverpool also gets fined more than anybody else for making either for making the same comments or the same gestures. So Van Dijk was fined 100 grand and given an additional match ban for his comments. And other people have made worse comments since
Mm-hmm.
and silence. So he already knows that there's a target on Liverpool's back. So even when we are aggrieved, we still have to police
Right.
how we react to it. So imagine like for an event that happened on the field, there was a one match ban for Van Dijk. His comments afterward
They
gave
did
an
this.
additional one match ban. Like when have you
They
seen
did the
that?
same thing to Rich James.
When have you
They did the
seen?
same thing to Rich James. My guy made a
Like
comment in the
think about
tunnel. Like, am I not free to speak anymore? The game is not going on. Game has finished. I made a comment in the tunnel. You find me 90K, 90,000 pounds, and then I'm still banned for a game. Like, so therefore, if you make stupid judgments, we should just keep short and be smiling. That's what you want us to do. Suffering and smiling. That's what the PGMO wants us to do.
Exactly. That's it.
And now, like
That's it.
the yellow
So
cards that they're
like Klopp,
giving when players question like, or like it's not even aggressive behavior. Because I understand like if somebody's coming at you and you got like five players at you, but like when somebody asks like Ref, how's that a foul? Boom, yellow card. I'm like, what? The things you are supposed to be good at,
You
you are
you,
not
you
good
want
at.
to
The ones that you are not supposed to be
you
extra sensitive in. Like,
remember the gesture thing too is also supposed to be a yellow. The guy who
yeah.
made Jota get his second card. Before Jota got his second
Oh,
card, the guy was on the floor
wow.
doing this, and that guy was on a yellow. He was on a
That's
yellow.
the hell, that's, yeah, yeah. Something's going on. What's going on? They
I
need to
mean,
bring
you
one of
said it,
those
not me.
151, 115 charges for Man City. You got to figure out where those money's coming from because
Bruh.
that whole thing. I love how like that's the thing. Like when everybody was talking about like Chelsea spending and whatnot, I'm like, if you're gonna come for Chelsea, you gotta start from your guard at the top, and that's Man City. If you don't sanction them, like if you don't sanction them and find them for something, don't come to us because we like the little brothers of 419, the big ones, the scammers, the Yahoo Plus, Yahoo Plus Plus. Those ones,
Oh man.
they're massive. They got like those people. Their case stay ever delaying or disappearing from courts. Like I don't know who's judging what, but there something's fishy out there with them. All right. Thank you for that. All right. The next one I just wanted to go to, I think kind of getting towards the tail end of this right now. The next one I just wanted to talk about was your next two games coming up. Obviously you have a game coming up tomorrow against Brighton. I want to get your what are your predictions for that? Like what you see coming out of that scores.
So, Bright, our history with Brighton is we basically haven't beaten them in our last three matchups. But that was also a Brighton
Yeah.
with Caicedo and McAllister. So I don't want to jinx it, but I see a comfortable. I see us winning comfortably
Oh, you scored.
because the way
Scores.
they
What
came
do you
out,
think?
eh? Scores out, out, out. We seem to have a
Mm.
traditional 3-1 going. I think we
I
had
saw
three
that.
straight matches of 3-1. So I'm saying 3-1 on this one. And Brighton has, I don't want to say they've been found out, but they've definitely faced like a downturn in their opening form
Mm.
was electric. Everyone's like, oh snap, is this the year that nah? People have learned like don't get baited into like
Mhm.
full on pressure. Don't get baited into full on pressure because
Yeah.
that's what they're expecting and that's what they work on. If you don't do that,
Yeah.
now they're just knocking the ball around. Like, and I feel like we have both the aggression and the
Mm.
mobility to take advantage of that. So like
Mm.
I
Okay.
see a comfortable win.
I agree with you. I
I
agree
see a
with you.
comfortable win.
I probably will go 1 up. I'll say 4-1 because Brighton for some reason
Oh,
they don't know how to do like moderate victory, like moderate losses. Like they don't do like a 1-0 or 2-0. They're like,
yeah,
you know what? Screw it. We'll go all out attack when we're 2-0 down. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
And going back to
When it
Brighton, when
rains,
you
it
talk
pours.
about
Yeah.
like they've been found out, no, they've been humbled. That and I love it. I'm here for it. Given the people that they are bad the most, the people that they have used us to collect money, headlines, everything. Because the Zerbi, the coach of Brighton, that man started getting too big for his boots.
Uh-huh.
When Corey didn't come, he's like,
Oh,
we don't
that's how
need
you see it.
Corey. When Caicedo left, we don't need Caicedo. Man is retracting the statements like, oh, well, Caicedo left on the midfield. Kohl, we lost two important. McAllister left. I was like, bro, you are here talking like anybody could be replaced. Tell everybody, yeah, if you don't want to go to the left, the Beyonce's are go to the left. You can be replaced easily. That's the way he was talking. And then he started figuring out what it is to play in Europe because he's like, when he went during the whole summer thing, he's like, where Chelsea's Brighton is a European team, and Chelsea's. I'm like, hey, no problem, shade's taken. We take the shade, but when you go to Europe, you better perform because Europe is a humbler. Nobody cares about where you are, how much you made during your transfer season. Anybody can literally because I saw them against Marcel the Europa League games, and I was like, if they were just lucky because Marcel is also going through their own phase of like because or any other team will just put them to the sword. Because like and I think they
Mm.
some of the players that they also facing injuries also, I'm not gonna lie. So they have some key injuries that's coming to your team that like what's Estupiñan is out, is out injured, and yeah,
He's
he's
out
out for a while.
for a
And
while.
he came out like blazing hot. Mitoma is looking hella like just average because so, there are some seasons where some players just come as they start out and you're like, whoa, like this is going to be a 200, 300 million player. Now it's looking like a good 70, 50 if we do our negotiation right. Like, because now it's looking like, okay, now everybody knows what's up with him. Like, they know he's got the pace, they know he's very tricky, so you can't give him that much space. So some of the players are also coming down to earth. And I think the attacking force that they have, Ferguson, that guy is different. Duncan Ferguson is different, but he's not fit yet. Yeah,
I mean, Evan
Sorry,
Ferguson.
Ivan Ferguson. He's been out injured on and off and stuff like that. So I feel like yeah, I agree. It's gonna be a comfortable win for Liverpool. I feel like the way you're gonna do it, you're gonna blitz him so fast, and you're just gonna then you take the foot off the pedal, and you're like, all right, let's take a chill for this on this paper. But yeah, I do agree. If that
But let's we should
yeah,
give Brighton their credit though, because like full transparency, they're in sixth place right
yeah,
now, so
it's
it's
not the
not
end of
like
the
they're
world.
languishing in the bottom half. Yeah, they're in
But
sixth
I
place,
think
and
the thing
yeah,
is,
so only two
yeah,
defeats,
the
but
thing
those
is, the
defeats were
more,
heavy.
especially when it comes to when we talk about depth, when some of these big clubs, when we talk about squad depth, when you are so stretched in different competitions, that's when depth comes into play. And if some of these players have never played in the Premier League or have not even played in Europe before, they're going to see a difference in regard to the quality again. I think that's what Brighton is they're kind of feeling right now. It's because they don't have the depth, and some of the injuries that they have are like most of the key players that make things happen. So I definitely see that. So definitely, I don't see Brighton winning that game. Like I don't see them. I see a comfortable victory, unless VR does some mad thing on you, for you guys.
Oh my! Oh please, don't even put that. Don't even put
Oh.
that out there, please.
All right. Then the
Don't even
last one I
put that
want to
out
talk
there.
about is coming back from an international break. You're playing. It's the Merseyside Derby, Liverpool versus Everton.
Ugh,
Everton surprised me this weekend. They won 3-0 against Dortmund. Like initially, I
3-0.
was like, Dortmund, this is probably like a 2-1 victory. And Everton, since the coming back of what's his name, Carl Lewis. Is that his name? Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah,
Carvalho,
this year.
DCL.
Yeah. Since the coming back of his appearance in the team, they seem to be more dangerous on the attack now, and they seem to have like a rhythm going for them. Because first they surprised me with their win against the Carabao Cup. I think they won against was it Aston Villa? They won against them, and they've pulled out some like marginal victories in regards to who they played against. They lost against the Luton. I was surprised against that, but I feel like Luton deserved they like the time you feel Everton will step up is when they don't step up. The time that you don't ask them to step up, that's when they step up. Let me get your predictions for that game. Like, what are your thoughts about that game?
So in the last 29
Yeah.
matches between Liverpool and Everton,
Mm.
Everton has won only two. But I feel like coming
Yeah.
off an international break is the perfect
Mm.
time to catch us, because heavy legs combined with like Everton. Anytime Everton plays against Liverpool,
Literally.
that's their World Cup final. That is their World Cup final, because last year they survived
Mm.
relegation on the final day.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of season they had last season. So now
Mhm.
they're maybe in like 15th or 16th place. So the golfing class is like it's not something that you
Mhm.
can even like sugarcoat. However, when it's Liverpool Everton, I feel like that's one of the most carded
Yeah.
games every season, because Everton, like the Everton players, they talk about how
Mhm.
when they're walking around the city, they're just being told like, "Oh, you got to smash into them. You got don't let them take." And like
Wow.
it's real. It's real. Like we've had so many like before you see a match where Liverpool just ran away with it. Like we've had 2-0 wins, but
Mhm.
they're not comfortable 2-0 wins. They're like if we win 2-0, like one player will have to score
Mhm.
like in the 85th minute or stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I see us winning, but it's one of those things like where they can dirty up the game and it can just
Mm.
end up a nil-nil draw, because like again, what was I saying before when it's about
Yeah. Yes.
the
Early
early
game.
game of international break? That's
Ah.
what this is. It's the early game
Oh,
coming off an international break. Yeah. So in the US, it's going to be at 7:30 a.m. So it's
how did we
yes,
make a derby
the
that
US
like at least
US
make it
7:30.
12:30?
So so in England it'll be
They're
12:30.
just waking up.
So just imagine a lunchtime a lunchtime derby. It's like so I
Mhm.
I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised like if Everton
Yeah, I
like
think a
even
draw
managed
is
to get a
what
result.
the best they can
I'm
expect, but not they
yeah.
can't beat you guys.
But again, coming off of international break at 12, so that means there's some players that would have played a match
Wow,
under 48 hours before
that's
then.
wild. That's wild.
So yeah, but when Klopp talks about it, they say he's whining. But like we were just talking about this, and we see
Mhm.
it's like in 14 days, like the match is going to be at 7:30 a.m.
Wow, that's
following
crazy.
an
Like,
international
can't
break.
they slot up one of those like some of those clubs like Luton, Baltimore, like one of those like the teams that they don't have a lot of like. All right, I guess we're preaching to the choir. We won't know. I think. Oh, going back to the VAR conversation, I think one of the things that I feel like one thing I don't respect about the VAR is that they have ability for them to be able to assist them because look at Champions League for example. Champions League they have that semi-automated or automated like line that they draw that actually shows the position of the player. Like imagine they and I believe they talked about it before the season started, but they're like, no, we're not doing that. I was like, and you saw it work.
Yeah, the one
Yeah, it
that's the
was
one they used at
using
the World
Walker.
Cup, right? They offered it
I
to
don't
the
know.
EPL and they said no. They straight
That's
up
why I don't.
offered it.
That's why I
They
said
straight
for
up offered
me,
it and they
if
said
you
no.
want to do the job of the machine, you got to do it. If not, you're getting a pickup. That's my thing. Get a pickup. All right, Toju. Thank you so much for coming on to this episode and just talking. I know we had some good and interesting conversations. But again, I just want to appreciate you coming on. Again, is there anything that you? I want to give you the
Of
floor here. Is
course.
there anything that's coming up on your episodes or on your podcast that you want to talk to the people about?
Just go subscribe to the Well Actually
Awesome.
podcast wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our YouTube channel. We're really trying to put out visually appealing content there that's an accompaniment to what we do
Awesome.
on the audio space, and we're trying to branch out into rather than just like the regular like daily
Mhm.
conversations that we've been having before. So we like have interesting conversations with interesting people, and of course we'll still be having the daily banter that we've had before. So yeah, just make sure you
Awesome.
check that out and subscribe.
Awesome,
Don't forget to
guys.
subscribe.
As you heard it here first, please subscribe. Please follow the channels, YouTube and Instagram. Just make sure you keep updated. It's been fun having you here. I honestly, I would love to have to. I would love you to come back again, and we should have this session again. I seen you have some
Of
couple of like
course,
live stream sessions of like just watching games with a couple of your buddies. I think that's going to be a good, interesting
of
avenue for us
course.
to explore in the future. So definitely watch out for that, all the listeners and subscribers. So exciting things to come. Thank you for joining us. And
Wait,
okay,
wait.
okay.
Before you go, you didn't give your prediction on your because your next Premier League match is against Arsenal. What do you what how
Bro,
do you see that?
anything they give me, I'll take. That's where I am right now. My
Wow.
expectations for Chelsea as a club is so low that I'm like, whatever they turn up and
Hmm.
they feel like it's best to offer me as a fan, I would take.
Uh,
Like now, but if I'm being honest, like I feel
wow.
like I feel that they're gonna Arsenal. It's gonna the best we get from there is a draw. If they will surprise me, if they want
Okay.
to impress me and make me to have chest, because as you saw that my chest was
Hmm.
caved in, my chest was lower as you asked me the question. If they want me to have chest in this game, they should actually go ahead and win this. If they don't want me to have chest, then go and do
Okay.
your normal dumb. But I feel like one of the things I'm happy about is like some of the key players that have been out injured are coming back. We're gonna have Rich James for that game.
Okay.
Yeah, so and
Nice.
hopefully
Okay.
Cucurella has been doing crazy stuff out there, like on the being or right. Like it's this guy is so weird. And the position they bought you for, you are not good. But the position they did not put you for, they're like, oh, just fill in the role. You are doing like I'm like, where was all this in the natural position that they pay you for? So is that what we have to do opposite day for you? Maybe we'll switch to boots. Maybe that will help. But yeah, for that game,
Hey,
the best
get, get it
I'm
however you can.
expecting is a draw. If Arsenal are missing some key players, like if this Saka injury, I don't know what's going on with it, and if Ateta wants to be stubborn and keeps playing Havertz, okay, then we might actually have a chance because the Ateta and Havertz relationship. And I honestly I don't know who blackmailed who. Maybe it's Jojo that has Jojo has some sort of tape of Ateta and is like, bro, you gotta sign my boy Havertz because we're the ones that are going through it in Chelsea. Like, because I don't understand that by to today. If you play Havertz and Saka doesn't play, maybe we'll have a shot. Maybe that's like a sneaker snatch and grab, like a 1-0. But other than that, the best I'm open for is a draw right
Mm,
now because the team is not settled yet. We don't have the right persona. Like Nkuku or somebody I thought that would come in and light up our offensive like field. And like Sterling out there is just out there shaking your hands, bro. He actually scored. He actually played well
I mean, he
today, so
played well
surprising
today,
because
though. He played well.
like initially when he was starting, he was taking some like one on ones. I was just like, bro, you can't even dribble anybody. Like, what are you doing? But I think he actually found the weakness of the defender. I knew that it was pace, and he just started burning him for pace. So I'm glad to see him get into his strides as strikers are scoring. So like I said, best result as a fan, if I think with my heart, I'll say it's sneaking 1-0. We get a 1-0, we lock it up, and we get out of there. With my head,
Okay.
the best is a draw. The best I can get is a draw. That's it. That's where I'm at right now.
Fair.
All right.
All right. Fair
Thank
enough.
you for joining again. Please be safe. Be safe out there. And
No
yep,
problem.
that's about it. Thank you. Peace.
All right.